In this video, we'll continue our discussion of Slater determinants and look at what the wave functions of many electron systems look like. So we're going to start off with our sort of postulate here that we can represent any N-Electron wave function as a linear combination of all determinants of a complete set of spin orbitals. Okay, so that was quite a mouthful to unravel, so let's unpack that a bit. So we saw in the past few videos that spin orbitals are one electron wave functions. We saw that there's a set of spin orbitals, so we can have a bunch of those that our electrons have the opportunity to occupy or not. And a complete set of spin orbitals means that we can represent any three-dimensional function as a linear combination of these spin orbitals, which typically would be orthonormal to one another. So they're complete. Often you would need an infinite number of them to be complete, but let's ignore that for now. So we have a large set of spin orbitals, functions of three-dimensional space, and those spin orbitals form a determinant. So a determinant being kind of all possible permutations of ways each electron could be in each of the occupied spin orbitals. So there were kind of n factorial terms within each determinant, and potentially a very large number of those spin orbitals. And we're also saying now that we need to do a linear combination of all of these determinants. So we saw in the previous video that for excited determinants, ones where we don't just put all the electrons in the lowest energy spin orbital available, that those are called excited determinants, and there's way more of those than there are of the ground state. There's only one ground state, but there's an exponentially large number of excited state orbitals. And since we said that the number of spin orbitals is quite large and the number of determinants with the number of spin orbitals is exponential, you can see how this is becoming a very difficult problem to solve in general as we're discussing this there. So we're saying for any chemical system which has n electrons, we're going to do a linear combination of every possible determinant of a complete set of all of the possible spin orbitals that those electrons can occupy. Okay, so that means our wave function is going to be the ground state wave function, the one we usually think about, all the electrons in the lowest energy, times some coefficient, plus sum over all the possible singly excited determinants we discussed in the last video, times some coefficient, each of them, plus all the doubly excited determinants, some coefficient for each of those, triply, quadruply, etc., all the way up into the n-fold excited determinants. So as we saw in the last video, we're going to say that the sum over A and R, all the occupied and unoccupied ground state orbitals, it's a sum of A equals 1 to n for our occupied orbitals, sum from R equals n plus 1 up to 2k for our unoccupied orbitals. So there's order n times order k of those, and again we're going to assume that k is roughly proportional to n. So this gives us, as we saw in the previous video, a quadratic number of these singly excited determinants where we've moved one electron from its lowest energy ground state orbital up to some higher energy unoccupied ground state spin orbital. And similarly for the doubly excited states, we're doing pairwise sums there for A and B, the ground state occupied, and R and S, the ground state unoccupied orbitals. Same there, A equals 1 to n, B equals A plus 1 to n, pairwise sum. And then the unoccupied orbitals, R equals n plus 1 to 2k, S equals R plus 1 to 2k. So there's on the order of n to the fourth of those. So already at doubly excited, we've got quite a lot of determinants to deal with. And then once we go to triply, we're getting all the way up to n to the sixth for this I guess you would say triple-wise sum or triplet-wise sum. That's a less commonly heard term, but that's what it is. So what are all the different quantum chemistry methods that utilize these types of situations? Because as I said, there's a lot of these, and this gets very difficult to do very quickly, depending on what level of excitation you're willing to go up to. So luckily for us, we're going to start out looking at Hartree-Fock, where all we care about is the ground state determinant. There's only one determinant that matters, and it's the one where all of the electrons are in the lowest energy orbitals, spin orbitals available to us. So that's great. That's the simplest case to do, and certainly has the least amount of problems that we'll encounter along the way. But starting off of that, going beyond that, Hartree-Fock is actually just an approximation, because in order to get this ground state determinant, we have to make a few assumptions, and one of those assumptions is that this ground state determinant is the only one that matters. And in fact, based off the approximations that we use, there are quite a lot of other determinants which contribute in a substantial way to the total wave function over when they're all combined. So if we include the ground state and a bunch of doubly excited determinants, we get a method called configuration interaction doubles. So we're including doubles in that sum. Why don't we start off with configuration interaction singles, you ask? We're going to explain why that's not necessary, but basically configuration interaction singles and Hartree-Fock are basically the same thing. That is, including singles by themselves doesn't actually help you. Then we could include the ground state, singles, and doubles. Singles do help you when you also have doubles. So that would be configuration interaction singles and doubles. Kind of configuration meaning what determinant do you have, and interaction, how those determinants interact with one another. And if we wanted to include ground state, singles, doubles, and triples, CISDT, configuration interaction singles, doubles, and triples. And I think you can probably guess where the names go after that. They include all the things I've said thus far, including quadruples, quintuples, hextuples, and after Q we usually just start including the number, because these methods are used so infrequently that at that point there's not much need for a general purpose name. Pretty much if you're going beyond CISDTQ, you're probably going all the way up to where you do all possible excitations up to the M-fold excitations, where you're exciting all electrons, where you're going up to what's called full CI, or full configuration interaction. So that's where you include all possible combinations of electrons in different spin orbitals, including all of the exponential or factorial number of possibilities of arranging different electrons in those different determinants. So that's all to say that for now, our primary focus in Hartree-Fock is on the ground state determinants, but note that using only the ground state determinant for reasons that we'll discuss later is actually an approximation to a true N-Electron wave function, which in order to compute exactly, we would need to do a linear combination of all possible determinants at every level of excitation.